The door opened before I even touched the bell, and something inside me went still. I was standing on the cold stone steps, my hand half raised, when it happened. The woman appeared as if she had been waiting just behind the door, watching, listening, ready. Warm light spilled out from inside the house and touched my face, but instead of comfort, I felt a quiet hesitation I could not explain. For a brief second, I wondered if I should step back, but I didn't. "Please come in," she said, her voice calm and welcoming. I had not spoken yet. I had not even knocked. Still, she looked at me as if she already knew why I was there. I told myself I was overthinking. After all, when you travel alone, your mind can become sensitive to small things. It tries to protect you, sometimes by noticing details you do not fully understand yet. But standing there in the cold, with the wind pressing against my back, it felt easier to ignore that feeling and step inside. The warmth of the house wrapped around me immediately. It was quiet. Not peaceful quiet, but the kind that made you aware of your own breathing. "There you are," she said softly, closing the door behind me. The sound of the lock clicking was light, almost gentle, but it stayed in my mind longer than it should have. "You must be freezing," she continued, reaching for my coat. I handed it to her without thinking. Her hands were small and careful, moving with a kind of precision that felt practiced. As she hung my coat, I noticed something strange. There were no other coats, no umbrellas, no shoes, nothing that suggested anyone else had been there recently. I glanced around the hallway again, slower this time. Clean walls, soft lighting, and a stillness that felt almost preserved, like the house itself was holding its breath. Sometimes, understanding a place begins with noticing what is missing, not what is present. And in that moment, the absence of small, ordinary things felt louder than anything else. "I saw your sign outside," I said, trying to sound relaxed. "I was looking for a place to stay." "Yes," she replied immediately. "I knew you would come." Her answer made me pause, just for a second. It was a simple sentence, but something about it felt too certain. I had not planned to come here. I had only stopped because of the light in the window and the promise of warmth. Still, I smiled politely. "How much is the room?" I asked. "Only £8, she said. "Breakfast included." The price surprised me. It was lower than anything I had expected to find. For a moment, I felt relieved. Traveling alone meant watching every expense, and finding something affordable felt like good luck. But even as that thought came, another followed quietly behind it. Things that seem too easy often deserve a second look. "That sounds perfect," I said anyway. "I knew it would," she replied, smiling again. There was that certainty again. Before I could say anything else, she picked up my suitcase. "Let me show you your room," she said. I followed her up the stairs. Each step made a soft sound under our feet, but there were no other noises in the house. No distant voices, no doors closing, no movement above or below us. Just silence, steady and complete. "Do you often have guests?" I asked. "Not very often," she said. "I am quite particular." Particular, and the word stayed with me. Most places want as many guests as possible, but she spoke as if she was choosing them, not welcoming them. It made me wonder what she was looking for, and why. We reached the upper floor, and she opened a door slowly. "This is your room," she said. I stepped inside. The room was neat, almost too neat. The bed was perfectly prepared. the sheets turned back slightly as if someone had just finished arranging them. A soft light filled the space, and everything felt ready, waiting for me. I placed my suitcase near the chair and looked around carefully. "It's very nice," I said. "I'm glad," she replied. I noticed the way she watched me. Her eyes followed my movements, not casually, but with attention. It felt less like she was checking if I liked the room, and more like she was studying me, learning something. "I have put a hot water bottle in your bed," she added. "You won't feel cold tonight." "That's very kind," I said. And it was. But at the same time, it felt like more than kindness. It felt prepared, expected, as if she had known exactly when I would arrive and what I would need. When attention becomes too precise, it begins to feel less like care and more like control. "Before you sleep," she continued, "please come downstairs and sign the guest book." "Of course," I said. "I like to remember my guests," she added softly. There was something about the way she said "remember" that made my chest tighten slightly, though I could not explain why. She turned and left the room, closing the door quietly behind her. I stood there for a moment, listening. Nothing. No footsteps. No movement. Just silence again. I opened my suitcase slowly, but my focus was not on unpacking. My thoughts kept returning to small details, the empty hallway, her certainty, the stillness of the house. It was not one thing that felt wrong. It was everything together. After a few minutes, I decided to go downstairs. The sitting room was warm and inviting. A fire burned gently in the fireplace, and a small dog lay curled up on the carpet in front of it. At first, the scene felt comforting, almost normal. I stepped closer. The dog did not move, not even slightly. I told myself it was just sleeping deeply. Still, I noticed how perfectly still it was, how nothing about it shifted or changed. I looked away and walked toward the table. The guest book lay open, waiting. I picked up a pen and wrote my name slowly, watching the ink settle onto the page. Then my eyes moved to the names above mine. Only two, a Christopher Hale, Daniel Mercer. I read them again. They felt familiar, though I could not place them. It was like remembering something just out of reach, something that stayed at the edge of your mind no matter how hard you tried to bring it forward. I leaned closer and checked the dates. My breath slowed. The last entry was from over 2 years ago. 2 years without a single guest. That did not make sense. A place like this, even a quiet one, should have had more visitors. A small feeling of unease grew stronger inside me, not sharp, but steady. When something does not match your expectations, it is often worth paying attention. Our minds notice patterns, and when those patterns break, it usually means something important is different. I was still staring at the page when I heard her voice behind me. "Ah, they were such lovely boys," she said softly. I turned. She stood in the doorway, holding a tray with tea. Her smile was still there. But now I noticed something new. It did not reach her eyes. Before I share the rest of story, I need to know, where are you listening from? I would love to hear from you. I picked up the teacup, but my hands did not feel steady. The warmth from the cup should have been comforting, yet something held me back. I watched the surface of the tea for a moment before taking a sip. The woman sat across from me, her posture relaxed, her attention fixed on me in a quiet, patient way. It felt like she was waiting, not for conversation, for something else. "It's nice to have someone here again," she said. Her voice was calm, but the words stayed in the air longer than expected. "Again?" I asked, keeping my tone light. "Yes," she replied. "It has been a long time." I nodded slowly and took a small sip. The taste was slightly bitter, but not strong enough to complain about. Still, I could not ignore the way she watched me as I drank, her eyes following every small movement. That kind of attention is difficult to describe, but easy to feel. When someone watches too closely, it creates a quiet pressure, as if even simple actions suddenly matter more than they should. "It's different," I said carefully. "I make it myself," she replied. "My own mixture." I placed the cup down gently. "My previous guests liked it very much," she added. "Previous guests." The words pulled my attention back to the book. "Those names," I said. "Christopher Hale and Daniel Mercer. I feel like I've heard them before." "Of course you have," she said, almost too quickly. "They were very memorable." Memorable. The way she said it made the word feel heavier than it should have been. I glanced down again at the page, then back at her. "The dates are quite old," I said. "Have you really had no one else since then?" She tilted her head slightly, as if considering the question, though her answer came without delay. "No," she said. "Only you." Something in my chest tightened. There was no uncertainty in her voice, no hesitation, just a simple statement that closed the subject completely. Sometimes, when an answer feels too clear, it raises more questions than it solves. Real conversations usually carry small pauses, small doubts, but her answers felt finished before I even asked. "That must be quiet," I said. "I like quiet," she replied. Too many people bring too much noise." Her eyes remained steady on mine. I shifted slightly in my seat, becoming more aware of the room again. The fire moved gently. The furniture stayed perfectly still. The dog near the fireplace had not changed position at all, not once. My gaze returned to it. It looked peaceful, but something about its stillness now felt unnatural. "That dog," I said slowly. "Does it ever move?" She followed my gaze and smiled softly. "Basil is very calm," she said. "Very calm." The words sounded simple, but they did not match what I was seeing. I leaned forward, almost without thinking, and reached out. My fingers touched the dog's back lightly, cold and hard. I pulled my hand away immediately. "He's not alive?" I said. "No," she answered calmly, "but I keep him with me." Her tone carried no sadness, no regret, just certainty. A quiet realization began to form in my mind. It did not arrive all at once, but slowly, like pieces fitting together. The still dog, the silent house, the empty guest book. I turned my head slightly toward the corner of the room. The parrot. It had not moved either. Understanding often happens step by step. First, you notice something small, then another detail, and slowly the full picture begins to appear, even if you do not want it to. "You preserve them," I said quietly. "Yes," she replied. "I like to take care of things that matter to me." Things, not pets. Things. The words stayed in my mind. I looked back at my teacup. The bitter taste returned to my mouth, stronger now. "What is in this?" I asked. "Nothing harmful," she said gently. "Just something to help you relax." Relax. The word felt wrong. My body suddenly felt heavier than before. Not enough to panic, but enough to notice. My arms did not move as quickly. My thoughts took a little longer to form. I stood up slowly. "I think I should go upstairs," I said. So soon? She asked. Her voice remained soft, but there was a small change in her expression. Not disappointment. Something closer to control. I have an early morning, I replied. That is true, she said. You must rest well. Her agreement came too easily. I stepped toward the door, but something stopped me. A thought. One that had been forming quietly from the beginning. Those boys, I said, turning back to her. Christopher and Daniel. Yes, she said. They never checked out, did they? The room fell into silence again. She did not answer immediately this time. Then she smiled. No, she said. They stayed. The words settled heavily between us. Stayed. Not visited. Not left. Stayed. Language can reveal more than intention. Sometimes, a single word shows the truth more clearly than a full explanation. And in that moment, I understood exactly what she meant. A cold feeling moved through me. I turned quickly toward the door and grabbed the handle. It did not move. I pulled harder. Still nothing. Behind me, I heard her stand. You shouldn't hurry, she said. It is not necessary. I turned around slowly. You locked it, I said. Of course, she replied. I must take care of my guests. Her voice was calm, almost kind, but the meaning had changed completely. I took a step back. This isn't right, I said. She watched me carefully, her expression steady. You are exactly right, she said. That is why I chose you. Chose. Another word that carried too much meaning. My thoughts moved quickly now, even as my body felt slower. The tea, the silence, the empty house. Every detail pointed to the same truth. I had not just found this place. I had been accepted into it, and that meant something far more dangerous. In difficult moments, your mind tries to connect everything at once. It looks for patterns, reasons, and possible outcomes. The faster you understand the situation, the better chance you have to respond. I stepped back again, creating distance between us. I need some air, I said. You don't need anything, she replied gently. Everything you need is already here. Her words felt final, closed. I looked around the room one more time. The fire, the still animals, the locked door, and her, watching me, waiting. And in that moment, I understood something clearly. This was never just a place to stay. It was a place people entered and never left. I stepped back slowly, trying to keep my balance. The room felt different now, even though nothing had changed. The fire still burned with a soft glow. The furniture remained perfectly in place, and she stood there, calm and composed. But the meaning of everything had shifted. What once felt warm now felt controlled. What once seemed kind now felt planned. I think I made a mistake, I said quietly. She looked at me with the same steady expression. No, she replied. You made a choice. Her words settled heavily in my chest. Choice. It sounded simple, but in that moment, it felt like something final. As if every step that brought me here had already decided what would happen next. In life, we often believe we are making small, unimportant decisions, but sometimes those small choices lead us into situations we cannot easily leave. Understanding this can help us become more aware of where our decisions take us. I glanced toward the door again, still locked. My thoughts began to move faster, even as my body felt slower. I needed time. I needed her to feel calm, to believe I was not a problem. I understand now, I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. You care about your guests. Her eyes softened slightly. Yes, she said. "I take great care of them." "I can see that," I continued. "Everything is ready. The room, the fire, even the tea." For a brief moment, her expression seemed pleased. "You are very thoughtful," I added. "I try to be," she said. Her smile stayed a moment longer than it should have. I felt it again, that quiet discomfort I could not ignore anymore. I nodded slowly, taking a small step to the side. "I just feel a bit tired," I continued. "The journey was long." "That is why you should rest," she replied. Her tone was quiet but firm now, not a suggestion, a direction. The heaviness in my body was growing stronger. My arms felt slower, my legs less certain. The tea was working, and I could not ignore it anymore. "I think I need some fresh air first," I said. She did not move. "You do not need to go outside," she replied. "You are safe here." Safe. The word no longer meant anything. "I won't be long," I said, taking another step. Her eyes followed me immediately. "There is no need," she said again. This time, her voice carried quiet control. I felt it clearly now. There was no permission to leave. In moments like this, your body understands danger before your mind fully explains it. That feeling rises quickly, pushing you to act even when you do not have all the answers. I moved anyway, one step, then another, and then I ran. I rushed past her toward the hallway, my heart beating hard against my chest. For a brief second, I thought I had surprised her, but I was wrong. "You should not run," she said. Her voice was no longer soft. It was steady, certain. I reached the front door and grabbed the handle, pulling it with all my strength. Locked. I pulled again. Nothing. My breathing became uneven as I turned quickly, searching for another way out. The window. I moved toward it and pushed at the frame. For a second, it shifted slightly. Just enough to give me hope. Then it stopped. Completely still, as if it had never meant to open at all. A cold realization settled inside me. Every exit had been decided before I arrived. Everything had been prepared. I turned back slowly. She was closer now, much closer. "You are making this harder than it needs to be," she said. "I just want to leave," I replied, my voice weaker than before. "You will stay," she said almost kindly, as if it had already been decided long before I arrived. My legs felt unstable, and I leaned slightly against the wall to steady myself. The room seemed softer around the edges now, less clear. The tea. It was stronger than I thought. "I shouldn't have drunk that," I whispered. She watched me carefully. "No," she said, "but you trusted me." Trusted. That word stayed with me longer than anything else. Trust can feel natural, especially when someone appears kind and welcoming. But in the wrong situation, it can also make you vulnerable before you even realize it. My thoughts became slower, but one question remained. "Why?" I asked. She stepped closer, her expression still and watchful. "Because I choose carefully," she said. "And you were exactly what I was looking for." Her eyes moved across my face again, slowly, as if comparing me to something only she could see. "I like to keep things that are perfect," she added. "Things, not people." The meaning was clear now. My legs gave in, and I slid down against the wall, my body too heavy to stay upright. The firelight flickered softly, casting slow shadows across the room. Everything felt distant, quiet, still. I tried to stay awake, but my vision blurred, and then a sound, soft, faint, above me, footsteps, slow and careful, moving somewhere on the upper floor. not hers, someone else. And in that final moment, one truth became clear in my fading mind. I was not the only one who had never left that house. And now, neither would I. If you liked this story, please like, comment, and share. More simple and emotional stories are coming soon.